I've worked with a ton of different musicians from all over the world, but maybe the greatest singer of them all was Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan.
Working with Nusrat, I was just struck by the power and the ecstatic qualities of Nusrat's singing and the momentum that the songs had.
Exciting news. There's a new album of unheard recordings by musical legend Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. And they're going to be released 34 years after they were recorded. The lost album, named Chain of Light, was discovered in the tape archives of Peter Gabriel's Real World Records. And don't worry, we'll keep you updated here.
Over the years, we've done a lot of work here at Real World Studios, and then we discovered that we had something really extraordinary, which had never been released and never even been heard.
We had here two big World War II Nissen huts. Inside the Nissen huts, we had storage for all the tape archives, but the Nissen huts needed to be demolished. So we went through everything we had in storage, which enabled us discovering, you know, this sort of buried treasure, if you like.
These tapes had actually been recorded in 1990 with Michael Brook in the studio here. And it was a real delight when Michael, who's now sort of almost totally tied up with all his film soundtracks, took time out to get back in the mixing chair.
I remember at the time we were recording, a lot of time pressure, and it was kind of like, is this enough? And Nusrat would just say, well, you tell us when to stop. Because they're used to singing for an hour for each piece. Somebody at Real World was going through the archives of all the recordings and discovered that we had recorded enough material for another album. We all forgot. It's so weird. Who was the genius who decided to go through the tapes?
Genius is probably a big word to use. I would say the nerd who used to spend every afternoon in the tape store. It's somewhere around here. Spent a long time just browsing through these tapes, taking them out, looking at them, and then it was this very tape that I found. So this is the tape, the master tape that was sitting in our archives for years, decades actually, that somehow got overlooked. I've been working at Real World long enough to know what it means to find Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan unreleased material. So we just wanted to get it digitized.
Analog tapes deteriorating very, very quickly. You may only have one chance to run that tape through the machine. We work with some experts at a company called FX Rentals, who are world experts in doing this.
It is archaeology, really, because potentially the actual data that's stored on the tape is really precious, you know, so you have to treat it with due care and attention. And in the case of Nusrat's tapes, we know we're dealing with some huge cultural significance, so there was a little bit of, OK, got to get this right. So yeah, this is an example of what they can come in like. So, you know, you can see that it's just like a chalky deposit. That's basically just ingress of water. They will go in one of these under a controlled environment, and that will force any water out. If you don't force the water out, if you don't go through the process of baking, you get what's called sticky shed syndrome, which is basically the tape itself, which is where all the information's stored, breaks down physically, and it will coat all of these rollers and just anything that the tape path goes through. Coats them in this horrible sort of sticky, treacly black nastiness, and it completely wrecks the tape machine. So you have to bake them in order to get them to this state, so that when you do press that button, you're going to get and capture it to the best of your ability.
Sounds pretty pristine for something recorded in 1990.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I was asked by Real World Records about the lyrics to be translated. The last verse of the song, it says, "Ek silsila-e noor hai har saans ka rishta." It did take me a long time to translate this particular verse. Ek silsila-e noor, silsila means chain, noor is a light. So this is where the chain of light, the title came from. Ek silsila-e noor hai har saans ka rishta.
Every breath of mine is related to his chain of light, his lineage.
Iman mera hubbe Ali, mehre Ali hai.
My belief is the love of Ali, of Meher Ali.
Main unka hoon ta hashr nasir unka rahunga.
I am theirs and will remain theirs until the day of judgment.
Sad shukr ke unse meri nisbat-e azali hai.
Thanks a million times that my connection with them is eternal.
Ya Ghaus ya Mira Abdul Qadir Shah Jilani.
ट्यून मैं भी नवा सुनिया मेरे वास्ते भी नवा है मैं पहली दफा सुन रहा उदों मैं सुनिया सी लेकिन मैनू याद नहीं मेरा ख्याल 30-35 साल बाद मैं मैनू इस तरह की फील हुई भी जिस तरह खान साहब इत्थे ने
We had new music, and so what we'd love to have is a new presentation of that music. I've got lots of stuff from the archive here at Real World. We have stuff going back years. Most of it had been used on other records, so what we had to do was try and find some images which hadn't been seen before. Fortunately, there's a great photographer called Guido Harari who had these portraits of Nusrat Fateh Khan, which hadn't been used previously. We had two images in particular that came from Guido. They were both very similar. They were both very strong. The difference being Nusrat Fateh Khan's eyes are either open or closed. I mean, they're still both fantastic portraits, but eyes. There's something about eyes closed which just speaks a little bit more to me, and I hope speaks a little more to the people who buy the record.
It's incredible to think that now, after 26 years after his death, there's this new recording that's going to be heard.
Well, obviously, the disappointing fact about Nusrat not being here today is the fact that we can't see the live performance anymore. The kind of visceral experience of, feeling the air move when he sings.
These were extraordinary performances, and I'm so glad that we were able safely to restore the tapes so that this amazing album could be heard and enjoyed again.
Sajna tere bina